Tokyo is full of interesting things, but anytime you Google what to do in this area, it ends up finding the most boring things. But there is so much more to discover here. So I'm making this series where I'm going through different districts of Tokyo and show you the coolest things I've discovered in my 1 year of staying here. Last time we checked Asakusa and its vicinity, and today we arrived here by the boat, Tokyo's artificial islands. Today I am covering Odaiba. Things I like about Odaiba. There's tons of big fun things to do here. And what I mean about big fun things is attractions, locations, where each item takes at least hour, multiple hours even. And surprisingly, it is one of the most park densest parts of Tokyo, as there's parks everywhere. You can cycle in the parks, you can drive around, walk around, there's huge parks, long parks. As for the downsides, the transportation to here and around here isn't the best. There's a couple of lines going through here, but if you want to go between specific places, it can be either really quick or quite slow. And even though on the map it looks quite walkable, it is actually the opposite. Like this line here that I made for the entirety of the things I recommend doing here, it's 7 kilometers long. It takes almost 2 hours to just walk the distance, even though it looks like, oh, this is like a 20-minute walk maximum. So the scale just doesn't make any sense. And also it has a very industrial vibe, which can be good, so it doesn't be Tokyo-ish, which again could be different. But that also means the entire place is windy at all times. Doesn't matter if you're coming here autumn, winter, summer, it's just constantly windy. But that being said, you can fly some mean kites over here, so it also could be an upside. So again, like with the previous video, instead of making the list based on the fun aspect or different genres of attractions, I'm going to make it based on movement, so starting from one end to another. Starting with Team Lab Planets, one of the more interesting museums with a lot of visuals to see, very stimulating. You do have to book in advance, a week is recommended, but not obligatory. And it is somewhere in between Instagram museums, where the point of the entire museum is to just take pictures of yourself and have nice backgrounds, and an actual museum that makes you think, because it is a place where you do feel different things, like physically and mentally, as you have to take off your shoes and put your little feetsies into water. Out of the 2 team labs I've tested, both here and in Roppongi, this one is definitely one of the better ones, and I would recommend tourists try it. Next up, a bit of a lesser known museum, Small World's Miniature Museum. It was one of the first museums that we went to when we arrived in Tokyo, and it is so cute and wholesome. If you like miniatures, it is one of the places to check out. It's not even about trains, but just everything is a miniature. And even if you don't care that much about miniatures, you will after going there, because everything is so cool. It takes around 1 to 2 hours, and afterwards you have a shop where you can buy miniatures. I even have some miniatures at home from the museum, though it's not exclusive to Japan, as I think the biggest miniature museum is either in China or Germany, but it's stuff you can see everywhere else as well. It's just something big here. I think this actually might be the biggest in Asia. Moving past it, Tokyo Joypolis. This is, I would say, one of the better attractions or theme parks inside Tokyo, as it all takes place inside, but it's not just small attractions like you'd see in Tokyo Red, where you climb up things or play arcade games. It actually has roller coasters inside the building, though albeit not that many. There's like 2 or 3 big attractions. But again, it will suck like half of your day. And it is kind of pay to win, like you can buy things in advance to make standing in line faster. And it is not a cheap thing to do necessarily. So unless you want to try something new out, like a theme park nearby Tokyo, very close by to you, then it's iffy. It depends what you like. Moving past that, we have Statue of Liberty. The French really love giving away statues of liberty, apparently. I think it's 1/8 scale. I can't remember precisely, but it is donated by France. It is here. It is interesting to see. Don't really have much else to say about it. Next up, we have one of the biggest shopping centers here. And inside there, you have tons of shops, couple museums, where one of the museums is the Unko Museum. Now, this is the museum I would classify as Instagram museum, where sure, there's some fun stuff to do there. They have like a small arcade section. You have things for the children to do, but for the most part, it just looks great on camera, and you're supposed to take pictures. I went there. I had fun there with the babysitter. But the fun is up to you. Inside the shopping center is also the Sunwear store. I'm not sure if it's one of the biggest or not, but it's pretty big. And at the back of the store, it's the Rainbow Gundam. Currently, to my knowledge, the only life-size Gundam in Tokyo, as the one in Yokohama was taken down. If you come, I think at night, 7 p.m. or something, it even lights up and does a little show. It doesn't move, but it has like gas going out of its back or something like that. And behind me, you have the Spear of Longinus. I think. I'm actually not sure. I don't know what that is. I'm taking back what I just said. It is the Flame of Liberty to commemorate friendship between Japan and France. God damn it, I thought it was an anime thing. And as for the final thing, I wanted to add City Circuit Tokyo Bay, which is go-karting. Not the one where you go around Tokyo in like a suit, but just a normal go-karting place. But I'm scrapping it because it was, first of all, quite expensive. And the racetrack itself was pretty mid. Also, it was the first place in Tokyo where I reserved a time, arrived on time, and then they said, oh, actually, your time is like half an hour from now. But let's go over the list of things that don't really count as attractions, but are also noteworthy. Like, for example, Tokyo Big Sight that you can see in the background. That is where most conventions take place. You know, Comiket, Design Festa, and if you're interested in conventions or little things, you end up going there quite a lot. I think one of the recent ones was SneakerCon, one of the biggest sneaker conventions in the world. But yeah, this is one of the places where everything's held. Nearby the Statue of Liberty, you also have the sakura that bloom. It is one of the earliest sakura. Contrary to popular belief, sakura doesn't bloom just like 1 week or 2 weeks, as there's like 100 different varieties of sakura. Some of them bloom early, like around a month earlier even than a normal sakura you expect to see in Japan. And when we arrived here, then we already saw sakura, but we were so confused because it was like 2-3 weeks earlier than it should have been. So if that's something you're interested in, you can catch it early on. And if you're a fan of transportation and trains, Odaiba has a monorail here, so you can get that itch scratched, which is literally happening in the background right now. And also there's the Rainbow Bridge here, which lights up in the color of the rainbow. So it's better to watch when it's gotten dark. As for the things that I haven't had the time to do here, but I'm aware of, and might do in the future, we have the Tokyo Rinkai Disaster Prevention Park, which is like the one that I went to recently, but it should be newer, bigger, grander, and don't need a Japanese translator to be with you. And they also have Immersive Fort, which, if I remember correctly, it's supposed to be like an escape room, but with actors, or it's like a stage show, but you're in the show, like murder mystery nights and stuff like that. I think they do have like English versions as well for tourists. I'm not 100% sure, but that seemed pretty interesting. It was like 40 euros per person though, so on the more expensive side, but it should be interesting. But as always, if you live here, if you've been here, if you have anything to recommend that I might have missed, let me know in the comments down below. So anybody who comes to Japan, to Tokyo, might look at the comments and see if they have anything else that interests them here. As for now, we're taking the train to go to Electric City next. See you tomorrow.